Hey y'all, I'm Rylan. Welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing some of my bookish goals for the next year and also talking about 22 books that I want to read in 2022. I'm going to share my goals first and then I'll go ahead and go through this list of books right here. But I decided that for 2022, I wanted to have a reading journal. I'm not an artist, so it's pretty bad, but it gets the job done. I tried to be like cute sometimes and then I just realized that it wasn't gonna look amazing, so it's fine. So this is my cover page for my reading journal. It is literally sticky notes that I just kind of cut out. Like, I just cut random like shapes out of sticky notes. So this is my reading journal cover page, and I'm not gonna go through my reading journal, at least not in this video. If people want me to, I can make another video later on showing my reading journal for 2022, but I just wanted to flip to my bookish goals page for this upcoming year. I am filming this video at the end of December with the goal of getting up in very early January, so we'll see if that happens or not. But this is my bookish goals page for 2022. My goal for next year is to read 200 books. This year I read 270 some books. I don't know the exact number that I'm at right now, but I do plan to finish 3 more books by the end of the year. I think I can do it. I will be graduating, I am interning, I will be starting grad school, so I'm not sure how busy I'm going to end up being, but I think that I can easily hit 200 books. I also would like to not buy as many physical books next year. I really need to make a dent on the books that I already own because I love buying new books and then forgetting about them. So that is another one of my goals that I have for 2022. I would also like to get out of my comfort zone in terms of the genres of books that I read. In 2021, I read a lot of thrillers and romance, and while I do want to keep up with that in the new year, I also want to read more contemporary fiction and historical fiction and fantasy and sci-fi. I want to read a little bit of everything, and I'm hoping that I keep up with that. I do have a lot of vlogs and video ideas planned to help keep me motivated on that goal that I have. In terms of social media, I really want to engage more on Bookstagram, Booktube, TikTok, basically all of the social medias. My goal for 2022 is to post at least once a week on YouTube and TikTok, and also post 3 times a week on Instagram. I would also like to engage more on all of these platforms. I want to comment on other people's posts. I want to watch other YouTubers' videos. I want to be more active in terms of supporting other creators, especially when I am uploading content pretty consistently on these platforms as well. I also really want to get my NetGalley ratio up to 80%. I have such a bad habit of going on NetGalley when it's a late night and requesting a ton of books, and I get a lot of approvals, and I currently have 78, I think, arcs on my NetGalley shelf. My ratio is 55%, which is better than what it has been this year, but I really want to increase that to 80% and keep it above 80% because I have so many arcs on my NetGalley shelf that have been sitting there for over a year now. So I really want to get better at keeping up with NetGalley and writing reviews for the books that I get approvals for, and also just not requesting every book that I see that looks interesting to me. Finally, I hope to write a review for every single book that I read, whether I like the book or not. The review might be a few paragraphs long, it might just be a few sentences long, but I do hope to write a review for every book that I complete next year. Every time I finish a book, I will be coloring in or checking off a box in this chart. This star equals 200 books, so all of these will be filled in when I reach this star. This is just extra reading space because I assume I will be able to read more than 200 books next year just because I did it this year. So those are some of my bookish goals for 2022. And real quickly, I am going to go through this stack of 22 books that I plan to read in 2022. I am not going to say anything about these books aside from the title and genre because to help keep me accountable as I read each book from this stack, I'm going to film and upload a review video. So I'll talk about the synopsis and my personal thoughts on each one as I read them. So working my way from the top of this stack to the bottom, these are 22 books that I'll be reading in 2022. These are all books that I have owned for at least a couple of months, if not longer. One of my goals for 2022 is to prioritize reading backlisted books that I own. So all of these books are books that I've had on my shelves for quite a bit of time. The first one that I have is The Lady Gets Lucky. This is a historical romance. I love historical romances and I cannot wait to read more of them in 2022. Next, I have The Infinity Courts. This is a young adult sci-fi book. I also have Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. This is a young adult contemporary. I bought this in 2020 after hearing Kat from Paperback Dreams rave about it. I also want to read Cemetery Boys. This is a young adult fantasy paranormal book featuring ghosts. I will also be reading A Dowry of Blood. This is another young adult book. I think it is also fantasy slash paranormal slash horror. I might be wrong on a lot of these genres, but as I read them and post the review videos, I will be able to confirm or deny my thoughts on the genres of each one and if I was right in my original thinking. We'll see. I don't know. I also plan to read Catherine House. This book is very unpopular. People tend to not like it from what I've noticed on my own social media accounts, but I am personally very excited for this one. This is a dark academia thriller type of thing. I also plan to read Last Night at the Telegraph Club. This is a young adult historical fiction romance, I think. I love middle grade books and I'm super excited to read The Second Best Haunted Hotel on Mercer Street in 2022. This is a middle grade paranormal fantasy book. Sadie is a book that I've had on my shelves for a very long time and I'm finally going to read it. This is a young adult mystery thriller that I believe has podcasts in it. Yeah. So, very much looking forward to this one. I've heard a lot of good things about this book. I was gifted a copy of The Duke and I from the publisher sometime early last year, I think, and I never read it. This is another historical romance that I've heard very good things about. I've heard the TV show is amazing, haven't watched it, but if I love the book, then I will probably go ahead and watch the TV show, especially because I've been seeing things about the second season coming out soon, maybe, I think. So this is another book on my 22 in 2022 list. I have read all of Riley Sager's books, but The Last Time I Lied. So I will be reading it in 2022, just so I can finally say that I have finally read all of the author's books. This is an adult thriller. I won an ARC of a thriller called After All I've Done last year. Never read it, but I've not seen it on social media really, and I want to give it more hype. So I plan to read it in 2022. The Atlas 6 is a book that got very, very popular last summer, I believe. It was originally self-published and I believe has been picked up by a traditional publisher, which is pretty neat. So I bought this in August of last year after seeing all the hype around it, and I never read it because that tends to happen to me quite a bit. So I will hopefully be getting to this one sometime in early 2022. Can we please talk about how awful stickers are, especially when they put them in the center of the book? I don't even know what this is. I'm annoyed, but it's fine. Black Buck is a contemporary fiction piece that takes place in New York, I believe. I don't really know. Yeah, I think it's New York. And I got this one also last year. Haven't really seen it on Instagram a ton, but I think it sounds pretty interesting and I'm excited to pick it up in the new year. The Secret History is one of the biggest books on my TBR. I know that it's not super thick compared to a lot of books. It's only 530 some pages, but that's pretty intimidating to me. I don't read books of this size normally, but I have heard that the dark academia vibes in this book are just unmatched and I have pretty high hopes for it. I also believe that it is a mystery, but I might be wrong about that. I plan to do a reading vlog of this book and a couple of other of the bigger books that I have on my TBR, just because I'm going to need help getting through it. A Long Petal of the Sea is actually a book that I bought pretty recently, but I knew that if I didn't put it on my 22 and 2022 list, that I probably would not get to it anytime soon. So I will be reading this one next year This is a historical fiction book. I want to read more fantasy in 2022, and The Merciful Crow seemed like a great book to pick up. This is a young adult fantasy. Emma in the Night is one of my oldest book of the month books. I have continued to put it off even after putting it on multiple TBRs. I just still have not gotten around to it, so I need to finally just knock this one off my TBR. I'm sure it will be a quick read. I just for some reason have not yet picked it up. This is a mystery. Transcendent Kingdom is a book that I saw around Bookstagram a lot when it first got published, and I got it in my book of the month box sometime in 2021. This book came out in 2020, so I waited a while to grab it, but I finally did. It is not a very thick book. I've heard this one is very, very good. I'm not quite sure of the genre. I think it's literary fiction, but I could be wrong. I have heard this one is very powerful, and I cannot wait to read it. I also really like the shiny text on the cover. Girl Serpent Thorn is a young adult fantasy. I have had this one on my shelves for forever, and I need to finally read it. I am in love with this cover. I love the green or blue or whatever color it is. I think it's really pretty, and I don't have enough books in this color. The last two books on my 22 books to read in 2022 list are The Bad Muslim Discount and The Nightingale. I've heard great things about both of these books. The Bad Muslim Discount is a contemporary fiction book, and The Nightingale is historical fiction. I've heard this one is going to wreck me, and I think I'm going to vlog it. Those are 22 books that I will be reading in 2022. Of course, I hope that I love all of them, but we'll see what ends up happening. If you have any bookish goals for 2022 or books that you plan to read in the new year, feel free to comment down below and let me know what they are. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.